Before we embark on our thrilling video adventure, we'd like to hear from our fantastic viewers. Have you ever experienced a bone-chilling horror story that sent shivers down your spine? We're eager to listen. Share your most terrifying tale with us by emailing the address below. Your story might just be featured in an upcoming video, ensuring your nightmare becomes a part of our gripping journey. So, sit tight, fasten your seatbelts, and prepare for an electrifying experience. But before we start, don't forget to send us your tales of horror. And now, let's all enjoy the video together. I had always found the night shift at IKEA to be a peaceful and solitary experience. The store's aisles, once bustling with customers, would turn into a labyrinth of quiet, shadowy displays under the dim glow of the overhead lights. But one fateful night, my perception of IKEA's late hours would change forever. It was past midnight, and my task was to reorganize the sprawling furniture displays. The echoing footsteps of my co-workers faded as they ventured into other sections of the store. I was alone, surrounded by rows of sofas, tables, and chairs that seemed to take on an eerie life of their own in the stillness of the night. And then I heard it, a distant murmur, like a quiet conversation taking place in a room far away. I paused, expecting to see a fellow employee or perhaps a lost shopper. However, as I glanced around, I realized I was entirely alone. The murmurs persisted, growing louder and more unsettling. They seemed to be coming from an aisle ahead of me, one that was peculiarly shrouded in shadow. Against my better judgment, I followed the eerie sound, my curiosity getting the best of me. As I turned the corner, the darkness deepened, and my heart quickened its pace. The murmurs had transformed into distinct voices, and to my astonishment, I saw them, shoppers. They moved gracefully through the aisles, inspecting items I couldn't see, their voices a haunting chorus that reverberated through the air. Their presence was unlike anything I had ever encountered. Transparent and ethereal, they examined furniture, seemingly picking up invisible items and placing them in their carts. It was as if they occupied a realm that was a mysterious bridge between the living and the otherworldly. Transfixed by the surreal spectacle, I watched as they browsed with unseen hands, pushing ghostly shopping carts and making selections from the hidden merchandise. It was as though they were on the cusp of existence, on the fringes of the living world. Suddenly, one of the shoppers turned and locked eyes with me, or at least it felt that way. Their gaze was piercing, and an enigmatic smile tugged at the corners of their lips, concealed by an intangible veil. They beckoned me to join them, their insubstantial hand extended. As I inched closer, an unexplainable force compelled me to step forward and become a part of this spectral congregation. But a voice within me cried out, urging me to escape this surreal nightmare. I recoiled, stumbling backward and fleeing from the unseen shoppers. I darted back into the well-lit aisles, gasping for breath, the enigmatic shoppers vanishing as I left their strange domain. I was left in a state of bewilderment, my heart still racing as I struggled to comprehend what had just unfolded. Over the following weeks, I delved into IKEA's history and uncovered a chilling truth. The store had been constructed on the grounds of an old cemetery, and when the building was erected, the graves had been relocated. But had the spirits of the past truly moved on, or had they found a way to linger within the store's confines? I stood in the now familiar store's empty aisles, haunted by the memory of the unseen shoppers. The advice I extend to you is this: if you ever find yourself alone in a place where the boundaries between the living and the spectral blur, trust your instincts and resist the call of the unknown. For the unseen shoppers of IKEA may still be browsing, and they may not be as benign as they appear. I had always found a sense of solitude in the night, and being a night watchman at IKEA allowed me to embrace the quiet, the stillness, and the eerie beauty of the dark hours. The aisles, once teeming with shoppers, were now empty, casting elongated shadows across the labyrinthine furniture displays. It was a world of peaceful silence, or so I thought, on one fateful night. As the minutes stretched into the early hours, I found myself deep within the cavernous store, my footsteps echoing through the vastness. It was then that I heard it, the sound of soft, ghostly laughter. It was the laughter of children, innocent and playful, but it sent shivers down my spine. My flashlight swept across the displays, revealing nothing but furniture and mannequins. The laughter continued, echoing through the empty aisles. I called out, thinking perhaps some mischievous kids had managed to sneak in after hours, but there was no response. As I continued my patrol, a chill crept down my spine. The laughter had ceased, replaced by an unsettling silence. It was then that I noticed the lights flickering, casting eerie, dancing shadows on the walls. Panic began to claw at my chest, but I tried to reason with myself. It was just an old building, right? But then, as I turned into the children's section, I saw them. Children, or rather, their silhouettes. They stood facing the walls, their outlines translucent, as if they were cast from light itself. I couldn't see their faces, only their dark shadows against the dim glow. I approached cautiously, my heart pounding in my chest. I could hear them whispering to each other, voices hushed and incomprehensible. My flashlight passed through them as if they were nothing more than apparitions. "Are you lost?" I asked, my voice trembling. One of these shadowy figures turned to face me, their head tilted at an unnatural angle, and the whispers grew louder. They reached out toward me, and my flashlight flickered, threatening to go out. In a sudden panic, I turned and fled. My footsteps echoed through the dark store, the children's eerie laughter following me. As I reached the entrance, the laughter faded into the distance and the lights returned to their usual glow. I reported the incident to my superiors, but they dismissed it as fatigue-induced hallucination. That night, I left work shaken, but the nightmares that awaited me were far worse. In my dreams, the ghostly children whispered secrets and beckoned me to return to IKEA. Weeks turned into months and the nightmares persisted. I had to face my fear. With trembling hands, I returned to the store after hours. I ventured into the children's section where the spectral figures had appeared. There, in the dim light, I saw them again. The ghostly children, their translucent forms beckoning. They whispered, their voices a cacophony of secrets and longing. In that moment, I knew there was no escaping this nightmare. The advice I give you is this: when you hear the laughter of the unseen and the shadows of the night beckon, remember that some mysteries are better left unexplored. For in the dark corners of IKEA, the line between reality and the supernatural blurs, and once you step across it, there may be no return. The idea was born out of youthful curiosity and the thrill of adventure. My friends and I had always wondered what happened behind the locked doors of IKEA after closing time. We imagined ourselves as brave explorers, daring to spend a night within the silent, foreboding halls of the store. Little did we know that our reckless decision would plunge us into a nightmarish world, beyond our imagination. As the heavy metal gates of IKEA closed behind us, the darkness seemed to swallow the last traces of the setting sun. The store, once teeming with shoppers, was now deserted, and the stillness weighed on us like an ominous shroud. We had a few flashlights, backpacks with snacks, and our unbridled courage, or so we thought. Our adventure began with exploring the showrooms where beds, kitchens, and living rooms merged into a surreal maze. It was like stepping into the homes of faceless strangers, and the eeriness was only enhanced by the pale light of our flashlights. As we ventured deeper, I could sense unease creeping into our group. The showrooms led to the vast self-service area, and our laughter began to fade. The towering shelves of flat-packed furniture loomed in the dim light. We stuck together, trying to dismiss the growing tension that clawed at our nerves. As we reached the cafeteria, we decided to take a break. The silence was oppressive, and we hoped some snacks would lift our spirits. But it was there that we noticed the first sign that we weren't alone. A tray of freshly baked cinnamon buns sat on one of the tables, untouched. They were still warm, as if someone had just placed them there. We looked around, expecting to see a custodian or a late-night employee. Yet the cafeteria was empty. Our unease deepened, but curiosity compelled us to press on. We couldn't shake the feeling that something was watching us from the shadows. As we moved toward the next section, our flashlights flickered, threatening to die. We exchanged nervous glances and tried to shake off the eerie sensation that had settled over us, like a shroud. The deeper we delved into the labyrinthine store, the more the line between reality and the supernatural blurred. Phantom footsteps echoed in the distance, and we heard hushed voices that seemed to materialize from thin air. In a room filled with office furniture, we encountered our first apparition. A shadowy figure, clad in a business suit, moved gracefully among the desks. It paid us no heed, and we dared not approach. It was as though we had entered a different dimension, a realm where the souls of the past lingered. As the night wore on, our fear reached its peak. Our group had grown smaller, as some had decided to turn back, unwilling to continue. But for those who pressed on, the horrors became increasingly unbearable. It was in the children's section that we faced our deepest fears. A group of spectral children, their faces obscured by shadow, played among the toys and cribs. Their laughter was cold, chilling to the bone, and their eyes held the weight of eternity. Our retreat was harrowing. We ran through the silent halls, our flashlights flickering and casting grotesque dancing shadows. But the store seemed endless, the aisles twisting and turning, as if mocking our attempts to escape. As we stumbled back into the cafeteria, our group was further diminished, and we were left with only a fraction of our original number. It was there, amid the untouched cinnamon buns and the silent cafeteria, that we realized the true horror of our situation. The advice I offer you is this: curiosity may drive you to explore the unknown, but remember that some places are better left undisturbed. The silent halls of IKEA may seem empty, but in the depths of the night, they hide a reality far more terrifying than anything your imagination can conjure.